Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm gonna get right to the point here. If you like Spider-Man but you've never read the comics because the character's been around for 60 plus years and you don't know where to start and you didn't know what to read, try this. I'm gonna give you a reading order list of like 8 graphic novel collections that will give you the basic overview of Spider-Man's 60 plus year history in the comics. This is by no means everything, but you don't have to read everything. Here's just a little something to get you started. So, you're going to start with Amazing Fantasy 15, as well as the first 52 issues of Amazing Spider-Man, along with the first 3 annuals. Which I know sounds like a lot, but it's really just 3 graphic novels worth of reading material, and they're not hard to find, or that expensive for that matter. Personally, I own the Amazing Spider-Man Essential Collections. These are dirt cheap, but they're in black and white, so I guess you get what you pay for. But if you want the colored reprints, I would definitely recommend the Epic Collections, and I feel like everything you need to know about classic Spider-Man, the foundation of the character, is in those first 52 issues and 3 annuals. Peter goes through and graduates high school, the Daily Bugle cast is largely established, you get to watch Peter's supporting cast build organically with Aunt May, Jameson, Betty Brant, Ned Leeds, Flash Thompson, and eventually, when Peter goes to college, you meet Harry Osborn, Gwen Stacy, and Mary Jane Watson. All of the iconic villains are introduced here as well, like the Green Goblin, Sandman, Electro, Scorpion, Rhino, Craven, Shocker, and the Kingpin, among a few others. Now, the annuals are important here because the first one is the formation of the Sinister Six. It's also where Peter loses his powers because he's losing faith in himself, which, if that sounds familiar, that's because Amazing Annual number 1 was one of the primary influences on Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. The second annual is honestly less important, but it's a fun crossover between Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, and it's one of the last issues that Spider-Man and Doctor Strange co-creator Steve Ditko got to work on. But then you get Annual number 3, which I would say is important. It's the story where Spider-Man meets the Avengers, and that issue lays the groundwork for his relationship with those characters moving forward. And Peter goes through a solid character arc over the course of this 50 plus issue run. He will constantly quit being Spider-Man and then go back to being Spider-Man between having manic episodes and nervous breakdowns, and all of that comes to a head in issue 50. It's the big Spider-Man No More issue. This is where Peter realizes that he can't not be Spider-Man, and a lot of his neurotic angst surrounding his double life fades away as he finally accepts being Spider-Man despite all of its drawbacks. It's also the issue that introduces the Kingpin, and that whole plotline concludes in issue 52. Now from there, you can just skip right on ahead to the death of Gwen Stacy, which has been collected multiple times over. Again, I own the Essential Collection of this, which is volume 6, but I think the most current printing is volume 7 of the Amazing Spider-Man Epic Collection. Now, the exact issues you want to read are Amazing Spider-Man 120, 121, and 122. I know that's a bit of a jump between the introduction of the Kingpin and here, but you don't have to read everything in between that. It's really not that important. And the comics themselves offer enough exposition to where you can pick up on what's happening. But here, you get the iconic death of Gwen Stacy, you get the death of Norman Osborn as the Green Goblin, and that's pretty much all you need. And from there, you're going to want to skip ahead once more to Craven's Last Hunt. Now, there are various collections of this book, both in print and online, but in either case, I would highly recommend the Epic Collection version. This contains the Spider-Man vs. Wolverine crossover, which results in the death of Ned Leeds, who was a major supporting character in the Spider-Man comics up to that point, and his death plays a pretty big role in Peter's emotional state during Craven's Last Hunt. It also contains Amazing Spider-Man Annual 21, which is the landmark wedding issue between Peter Parker and Mary Jane, and I don't know, I just kind of consider that to be important. Take on this. After that, you want to read the Birth of Venom, Now, this collection is a hodgepodge of various issues and arcs. Some of it takes place before Craven's Last Hunt, and some of it takes place a little bit after. But there were these little articles throughout the book that tell you what's been happening between the issues that aren't collected here. That way you get a little more context for what you're reading and you're not lost. But the main focus of this book is detailing the Black Suit era. So it shows Peter returning to Earth with the symbiote after the original Secret Wars. This also has the issue that reveals MJ's backstory with her abusive childhood and retcons that she always knew that he was Spider-Man. So again, kind of important. This also has the issue where Peter gets rid of the symbiote and rocks the iconic, bombastic Bagman outfit, which you have no doubt seen in every Spider-Man video game ever made, as it should be. And of course, the first couple of appearances of Venom.
Alright people, let's do this one last time. My name is Peter B. Parker.
And finally, you skip ahead one last time to The Amazing Spider-Man by J. Michael Straczynski and John Romita Jr. Now, the issue numbering is a little weird on this one because the Amazing Spider-Man title was renumbered in the late 90s. So Straczynski's run starts with issue 30 and then goes up to issue 58. And then the book switches back to its original numbering with issue 500. So technically, issue 59 is issue 500. If that makes any sense. If it doesn't, that's fine. There's a couple different collections of the Straczynski run that have everything listed in order. Personally, I recommend the first two Ultimate collections, which contain everything from issue 30 to issue 502. Here, Peter Parker is in his late 20s, Peter and MJ are on a break, and Aunt May, very early on, discovers that Peter is Spider-Man, and from there, the series just takes off. And I might be a little biased here because these were the Spider-Man comics that were coming out when I was a kid, but this is peak Spider-Man right here. And I'm not 100% sure, but I'm like 99.1,500% sure that the production team behind Into the Spider-Verse was looking at this run when adapting Peter B. Parker. A lot of this book is built around Peter and MJ's relationship and building up to them getting back together, but also a lot of this series is Peter going through a quarter-life crisis where he's grappling with the fact that he's basically a 30-year-old man who's still running around doing the exact same thing that he was doing when he was 15, and it's a really interesting character study. So, just to recap, Amazing Fantasy 15, Amazing Spider-Man issues 1 through 52, along with the first 3 annuals, The Death of Gwen Stacy, Craven's Last Hunt, The Birth of Venom, and what essentially makes up the first half of J. Michael Straczynski's run on The Amazing Spider-Man. I think that's a pretty solid foundation for getting into the character. It's literally just the core essentials. You get the classic stuff, you get the iconic stuff, and it's not a lot to read. It's basically 5 epic collections, 1 graphic novel compilation, and the first 2 Ultimate collections of J. Michael Straczynski's run. I think these 8 collections are pretty much everything you need to get a nice little Spider-Man shaped skeleton to work out of, because contrary to popular belief, reading comics is not a linear practice. You sort of just skip around. You start by reading the important stuff, then you go back and you fill in the blanks, and if you're interested, you read some of the modern stuff that's coming out. But yeah, I hope this list helps. If you have any questions about this reading order list or reading order requests for other characters, let me know down below in the comment section. Also, if you like this video, hit the like button, share, support the channel, and if you want to see more content like this, all you gotta do is subscribe. I'm the Mystical Green Beanie, thanks for watching, and until next time, happy reading, take care guys.
Common interest.